It's Kawasaki ZH2 time, everyone. Today we're going to be discussing a very interesting topic regarding the petition that's going around for 100 mile an hour speed limits on motorways and 80 mile an hour speed limits on dual carriageways. Now, as a lot of you living in the UK will probably already know, the limit right now on motorways is 70 mile an hour. And I mean, dual carriageways can be 70 mile an hour, but they can be less. And I've signed it. I've signed that petition, and today we're going to kind of explain why I signed it. Some of you are probably already going to know why I signed it, but if you believe, especially after watching this video, that we should have 100 mile an hour speed limits on motorways and 80 mile an hour speed limits on dual carriageways, or just higher speed limits in general, then I will leave that petition, the link to that petition, down in the video description. So the obvious kind of reasons against 100 mile an hour speed limits or 80 mile an hour speed limits is because apparently they are going to cause more accidents, and or it will cause more accidents, and it will cause more loss of life. Now, I have a bit of difficulty with this argument, because anyone who is driving a car, or riding a motorcycle for that matter, is acknowledging, or acknowledgingly taking the risk that they may end up getting involved in a crash one way or another. And I get the impression from these people that they want 100% of lives saved on the roads. And that isn't going to happen. There is always going to be collateral damage. Wherever you've got humans behind the wheel of something, there is going to be collateral damage of some kind. Now, me being a road user, I accept that risk. As any road user does, they accept that risk. Whether you like it or not, if you drive on UK roads, or you ride a motorcycle on UK roads, or any public road for that matter, you must accept that risk. Otherwise you wouldn't be driving or using the roads in that way to begin with. If you don't want to take that risk, well, quite frankly, you're going to have a difficult time getting around, because there is that risk if you take trains, if you ride buses, or if you use an aeroplane or a scooter or a hoverboard. Anything that you use, you are going to be running a risk of getting involved in some kind of accident regardless. Alright? So this argument that increasing speed limits is going to increase people dying, well, you're already doing 70 mile an hour on motorways and dual carriageways already. Increasing that speed limit, even just by 10 mile an hour, which, let's be honest here, let's be frank, the vast majority of people are already doing on motorways. They're already doing 80 mile an hour on the motorways. Well, nothing is going to change. Nothing much is going to change. Alright? So, I mean, that argument I really don't like, because there's always going to be collateral damage regardless of what you do. There's going to be no surefire way of guaranteeing 100% of people that use the roads will stay alive from using them, or won't get involved in any accidents or crashes. Even if you include AI in the mix, AI will not solve the vast majority of crashes. It won't give you 100% crash protection on public roads. So these people are arguing for something that is absolutely impossible and will never happen. Alright? Now these people will say, oh, well, one life saved is, one life saved. It's worth it if you get one life saved. But that's not how it works. Alright? It's not how it works. Things that save people's lives aren't the rules that you attach to the road. It's the safety features of the car itself, or the vehicle itself, that you are using. Alright? It's really interesting, isn't it? Because back when the whole 70 mile an hour thing became law, cars and bikes back then weren't exactly that great, were they, in terms of safety features or the quality of their brakes, the quality of their suspension systems, anything like that wasn't as good as what you find on bikes and cars today. So you could make the argument that 70 mile an hour was too fast for roads back then because cars weren't as safe. This was before they had the whole unibody construction where they had crumple zones and things like that, where the car is meant to absorb the impact of the crash, and that's supposed to limit the impact inside the cockpit for the driver. Things like that didn't exist when the 70 mile an hour rule first came into place, right? So I think, in my humble opinion, that speed limits should be increased. We should be trying to find ways of getting people moving faster, not slower. People need to get to their destinations quicker, and that will be a very attractive thing to road users. That will be a massive win for road users if we can get to our destinations faster, which we're always looking to do anyway. But now we have a more legitimate way of actually doing it, because guess what? We are now allowed, or we would be allowed, to go faster. But the frustrating thing is that it's going to be a give and take, isn't it? If we increase the speed limits on dual carriageways and motorways, well then speed limits on roads like these are going to be lowered to 20 mile an hour. Because it's already happening, and I don't know, because the councils say so. They don't necessarily have any direct evidence to prove this, but 30 mile an hour is too fast now in these areas, whereas it was always absolutely fine before. And that's one of the things that I know that this is going to be a split opinion base, all right, when it comes to this kind of stuff. But speed limits are an opinion. Speed limits are subjective, all right? You can't turn around and say to someone that they're going too fast on a particular road if they are perfectly capable of going down that road at that speed. Yes, of course, there's a point at which it gets stupid, right? But for the most part, on most roads, especially here in the UK, you can go significantly faster than the speed limit would allow. Because if you couldn't, then emergency services and people like that who drive police cars, who drive ambulances and things like that, well, how is it they're able to do it? Alright, yeah, people say, oh, they've had training and oh, they got the blues on and things like that. It doesn't matter. The fact is that you are able to use those roads and you're able to go much faster on those roads than the speed limits would allow. It is subjective. Okay? So don't come at me and say that, oh, it's bad that you're speeding. It's like, well, it's bad in your opinion. It's that, you know, the law is an opinion at the end of the day, right? And laws can be changed. If enough of us have a concern, or enough of us think that something is unfair, oh blimey, those potholes were bad. If a majority of us think that there is an issue with some law, well, we have the power to try and change it. Okay. Now, if you are someone like me who use the roads a little bit more spiritedly, let's say, then go ahead and sign this petition, because it will be a win for motorcyclists and drivers alike. It would be a win for any and every road user. And it makes sense, alright? These are roads that are clearly quite capable of going much faster than 70 mile an hour would dictate. 70 mile an hour doesn't mean anything. And across the continent in Europe, or across the pond in the United States, they have higher speed limits than we do on their motorways, on their highways. They have higher speed limits than we do. In Spain, their speed limit is 125 kilometers an hour, which, I mean, it's about 77 mile an hour, but it's basically 80 mile an hour. All right? Most countries in Europe, Germany, for example, has an autobahn, unlimited speed limits. It is stupid that we live in a society that speed is such an evil thing, whereas from my perspective, speed is one of those things that actually can be incredibly helpful, not just to individuals, but to industry, to economies, because you're able to get things from A to B faster. You're able to be more productive. The faster things get to their destinations, the bigger the economy gets. The more industrial capacity, the quicker things are able to get manufactured, the quicker things are able to get exported. The list goes on and on and on. All right? It's not going to be much, but 10 mile an hour, if you're traveling over a number of hours, that is an extra 10 plus miles that you would be able to get somewhere quicker. 10 miles! 10 miles is so much! Can you imagine being able to get somewhere 10 miles quicker than you would have? It's just a no-brainer for me, right? And speed on these kinds of roads that they're talking about here as well isn't as much of an issue as if you were doing 70 mile an hour on these kinds of roads. And you can even do 70 or 80 mile an hour on these kinds of roads, but it's a little bit harder and it's a little bit more risky to do. Because of course you're going to have less time, less reaction time to do things. But when you're on a road that is open, that is straight, where you've got all the time in the world, it's a much bigger justification, in my opinion, for increasing speed limits or even getting rid of speed limits entirely on dual carriageways and on motorways. And you know what the funny thing is? This has all been instigated because the 20 mile an hour now law in Wales. People aren't happy with it. And there are petition groups now, there are campaigning groups now trying to fight against the 20 mile an hour limit that's in Wales. Too many of us motorists are far too accepting of what councils deem necessary, right? Because motorists don't speak up. The vast majority of motorists don't speak up. They don't understand why something is unfair, even though they use the roads every single day. And the thing is, any changes that are made to public roads should be put to a vote, because millions upon millions of people use public roads every single day, and they are going to be the most affected. So why not put these things to votes? Because they know they won't succeed. They know they won't be able to push it through. Because they're unfair, because they're unnecessary. It's the same old thing in France. We did a video recently about motorcycles and MOT testing in France. If it's not necessary, then why are you trying to implement it? You know, again, it's governments and councils doing things that are unnecessary, but because they want to, because there seems to be this anti-motorist agenda these days that is going unnoticed by people like us who need these roads and use these roads every single day. It's just silly. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. And I suppose that's the problem, isn't it? Is that the 70 mile an hour argument, the 70 mile an hour thing, has been one of those issues where if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But it is a problem. And we've all heard the stories, alright? When you have an issue where there's a family emergency or something like that, you think to yourself, right, screw all the laws, I'm going to get there as quickly as I can. I'm going to go there as quickly as possible. Imagine being punished because one of your family members is dying and you need to get there as quickly as possible. And if you don't, and you're going to get a ticket, you're going to get points on your license because you had to get there quickly. How friggin' evil is that? You have the opportunity, you have the capability, and you have the machine to get you somewhere quicker, and you have a legitimate reason to get there quicker. But these people who are trying to lower speed limits everywhere are saying, no, tough, you can't do it, sorry. Even though those people in that exact situation, in that exact scenario, would do the exact same thing as anyone else would. It makes it legitimate and it's fine, right? A speed limit doesn't mean you have to go at that speed if you're not comfortable doing it. But at least you're giving people the option to go up to that speed if they are capable and if they want to, and then they have the choice to do it, or if they have the need to do it, then they can. And not to mention, it makes riding bikes far more freeing. I don't have to worry about punishment as much. It's just stupid, man. We're getting punished for using the roads. doing the speed of the road, alright? I could be doing 60, 70 mile an hour on this road and it wouldn't be a problem. I'm the one riding, but people will judge you for it regardless. Even though you're in complete control of the vehicle. People will judge you and say that you're wrong, they say that you have a death wish. They'll judge you without even knowing you. All because you like to go a little bit faster getting from A to B. Are you kidding me? All because of some arbitrary subjective law. People, honestly, people are suckers for laws. There are lots of things that I agree with the law, and there are things that I don't agree with. There's nothing wrong with disagreeing with laws. I never understood this whole thing. Like, oh, it's the law, you have to obey the law. If you don't agree with a set of rules, then why are you incentivized to obey them? You're not. That's why speeding is an issue. Because the vast majority of people don't agree with the speed limits. They don't agree with the law. That's why speeding is a problem. If speeds were more reasonable on the roads, and, you know, this road, perfectly doable, 60 mile an hour, 70 mile an hour, perfectly doable. But no, we've got an arbitrary 50 mile an hour on this road. If I'm doing more than 50, I'm going to get punished. Despite the fact that I'm not doing anything wrong. I'm in perfect control of the vehicle. It's just stupid. I'm not a rebel. I just disagree. When I see there's something that is unfair, I disagree with it. I should be allowed to disagree with it. But the problem is, I know for a fact that now I'm going to be ridiculed, and I know that there are going to be people in the comments that are going to tell me how wrong I am for having a difference of opinion because I have signed this petition. There are people that are going to throw insults at me. There are people that are going to be... I'm putting myself out there and I'm sticking up for what I think is right and what I think is fair. Who are you to tell me that I'm wrong? Right? It's just a difference of opinion. Simple as that. Right? So if we're going to have a discussion about this in the comment section, be reasonable, be nice to each other, have an honest and civil debate if you want to, but understand that there are people like me that don't think it's fair. And the thing is, any of you that argue against it are part of the problem. You're limiting the freedoms that we have on the roads willingly. It's just stupid. Why? If you're a motorist, why would you stand up for more speed controls? For more law enforcement on the roads? Why would you stick up for that? Okay, when it comes to things like MOTs, if a car doesn't have an MOT or if a motorcycle doesn't have an MOT or something like that, right? Okay, even though that's an argument in its own right, it makes sense to some extent. I can get on board with something like that. But there are lots of things that I can't be on board with. Because I'm being punished, or I have been punished in the past for riding my bike, right, for driving my car sensibly. I'm being punished for it. 50 mile an hour, I can do 50 down here, easy. Oh no, but because there are houses down this road, it should be 30. That's what some people will say, and it is so dumb. It's just ridiculous, man. It's all opinions. It's all opinions. I don't understand why people get so up on their high horses about this kind of stuff. If I think something is unfair, well, I should be allowed to say it's unfair. I know this is a bit of a rant, and I understand that not everyone's going to have the same opinion as I do. All right, fair enough, whatever. All right, that's human beings for you. We all have an opinion about everything, right? But when I'm coming up with reasons why it's important, or reasons why I think it is fair or unfair to have this rule or that rule changed or that rule changed, it should be a perfectly reasonable thing to argue, because I have reasons for that argument. But anyone that turns around and says, oh, higher speeds are unsafe, That's up to you. That's your opinion. If they're not safe for you, then great. Don't do those speeds on those roads. Go slower. That's my point. You have the option to go slower if you want to. But don't restrict it for the rest of us. Don't restrict it for the people who are more capable, who are more confident, and can do higher speeds on roads safely. Just, you know, that is reasonable. That is perfectly reasonable. But it isn't, apparently. Apparently that isn't reasonable. I'm not in control of the vehicle. It's not safe. Bite me. Right. What I do on the roads, what I feel is safe on the roads is what I'm going to do. Why would I put myself at risk? Yes, there are going to be those people out there that will do stupid things. There always will be. So speed laws, speed enforcement is never going to change that. There are always going to be people that are stupid. Simple as that. But why restrict it for those of us who feel safe going a little bit quicker? And I'm not talking crazy amounts. I don't even think 100 mile an hour is necessary. If it's 80 or 90 mile an hour, that's great. That's perfectly reasonable. So I don't think this is going to make it through Parliament regardless, even if it gets to 100,000 signatures. By the time I signed it today, I think it was just over 30,000 signatures. It won't change, even if it gets debated in Parliament. It won't change because, unfortunately, the vast majority of road users are too complacent. And by the time something gets changed that affects these road users, it'll be too late. 20 mile an hour rule in Wales ain't going nowhere. Simple as that. It just isn't. Once councils and governments push through something, the likelihood of it changing, going back to the way it was, or even getting better, is gone, out the window. But anyway, everyone, I mean, that's my take on the whole 100 mile an hour, 80 mile an hour petition that is going on right now. I don't think it is unreasonable. There are many countries around the world that have speeds on their roads that are that much, and it isn't an issue for them. Or if it is an issue, it's the same as ours, it's the same issue that we've got here. It's not going to be any different. Vehicles and cars in particular, are so much safer than they were before. The airbag technology, crumple zones, brakes, suspension systems are far more advanced than they used to be. Even on bikes, systems on bikes are far more advanced than they used to be. But motorcycles, I think, are a different kettle of fish. All right, you get in a crash on a motorcycle, even at 40 mile an hour, it's going to be a pretty bad deal. All right, so we damned if we do, damned if we don't, I think, for bikes in a lot of ways. So again, but don't restrict it for bikes. That's just stupid. We knowingly and acknowledge the risk. All right, we know the risk, we understand the risks. Let us take those risks if we want to. Right, let us make that choice. If we want to ride bikes and if we want to ride them quicker or slower, let that be our choice. But anyway, everyone, I hope that today's video has made sense, and even if you disagree and you have reasons for it, you know, don't just go with the same old nonsense that they say, oh, it's going to be less safe and things like that, all right? Because I think I've covered that argument today in today's video, all right? The likelihood of crashes isn't going to be increased because of the systems that we have on cars, things that like airbags and things like that. The risk isn't going to be any more than it is already, all right? But let me know if there are any other reasons down in the comment section. Let me know down below. But I mean, that's going to do it for today's video. Thank you ever so much for joining me on today's ride. I mean, weather is being absolutely fantastic, but we are heavily into bug season now. Lots of bugs. Hopefully the lens is all right today. But as always, everyone, leave that like, even if you disagree, right? Leave that like anyway for the ZH2. Leave that like for us, because I am standing up for you guys at the end of the day, what I think is right and what I think is fair for motorists. So leave a like for that. Hit that subscribe button and that notification bell so you don't miss any more of our videos on the wicked Kawasaki ZH2. And we will catch you all in the next video, everyone. Take care. Ride safe.